There's a stark contrast between the light and radiance of this Sunday's gospel and the reality of the darkness of war facing Europe once again. Jesus has taken time away from the press of the crowd, the incessant questioning of the critics, and the scrutiny of the authorities, and he's retreated with his closest friends to pray, to reflect, and to rest. And it's in that time of peace and quiet that the light breaks through. Who Jesus is in relation to God, his utter transparency to the Father's outpouring love, becomes for a moment visible to the disciples, and that's what this Sunday's gospel describes. And the two men who appear with him, Moses and Elijah, represent not only Jesus' place as the fulfillment of the narrative of salvation, but also, interestingly, they tie this Sunday's gospel into what has just happened and what is about to happen. What has just happened is that Jesus has predicted to his disciples what it is that awaits him in Jerusalem: rejection, suffering, and death. And what's about to happen is the increasing journey towards the fulfillment of his prediction. And Elijah and Moses' own stories are not only journeys taken in faith, but also experiences of their own rejection and persecution, and the way that their lives are poured out for the redemption of the people. So this gospel moment of light and revelation is a brief interlude in a time of gathering darkness. And Peter longs to remain on the mountaintop. He wants to build shelters so they can stay there. But of course they can't. There's a journey to be undertaken, and the destination awaits. The darkness swirls around the foot of the mountain, and the minute that Jesus descends with his friends to the plain once more, he's assailed by the need and suffering of a desperate world. So what does this gospel hinge point story have to say to you and I, to an anxious and frightened world? First, I think that Jesus, in the midst of his awareness of the peril that he faces, takes time to reflect, to pray, to retreat into God. Second, that Jesus also knows that his place is to be down on the plain, among the crying need, meeting the pain and bringing healing and reconciliation to the broken. The trajectory of Jesus' journey is to open himself to the light, to demonstrate it, to share it, to take that light into the darkness that awaits him. And it's a darkness not only of need and pain demonstrated by the crowd, but it's also a darkness of fear, blind hatred, and incomprehension. Aware of it, he sets his face towards it, and entering it, he allows it to vanquish him, so that through his death, new life can come. And that, it seems to me, is the church's place and challenge, and it's the place and challenge for each one of us. To allow the mountaintop light and radiance of being held in God's love to infuse all that we are, so that we ourselves can be places of healing and reconciliation in the midst of the pain and the fear, that you and I can be agents of healing, hope, and love. And that way, our words and actions, rooted in God, will both console and challenge. We'll refuse to engage in a rhetoric of hatred, and we will start to be the peace for which we long.